this up?
You are listening to Kaisers Kastle.
Hey folks, welcome to Kaisers Kastle. You all know you're welcome to take a seat on my big orange couch, grab a coffee, a tea, or pop yourself a cold one if that's your embranglement. The thing tonight is I'm here with Dano right now, and the fun part is we're going to talk about some things you might not want. And we have an added addition, and I will explain it to you at the end of the program, and then you guys can listen to it and get the white pills that it's giving. And it's from a courtesy of other people, and I will give the due to those folks. So how's it going tonight, Dano?
Brother, it's going well. It has been a busy, busy day in the news. Hasn't it now?
Yes, it has. Go on and expound on that, my brother.
Oh, man. So, got home late tonight, a little bit later from normal. We had some maintenance to do at the castle before we could get on the air. But watching the news tonight, CNN has officially turned on James Comey. They said he has overrode what little bit of a butt that he may have left. It's gone. It's over. There's a fire sale on James Comey's butt.
Of course.
Because he's getting ready to go to prison. Winner.
Winner take all. Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Ain't no winner. That's a dumbass. That's what that is.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, anybody that goes on a book tour that is telling about all of his crimes, you know,
right.
It just makes me laugh. I'm so happy that the Castle Talk Radio Network is reaching out to so many people. We want more voices, not less. Guess what? They can shut me down. They can't shut us all down. And we're about to expand. What do you think about that, Dano?
Man, you know what? That was really great news. I'm seeing everyone that's getting ready to come on board with us. Adding new friends is my personal account. I'm not afraid of nobody. You know what? People don't like it, they can kiss my butt. But here is the bottom line of the whole thing. We're going to do what others have failed to do. We're going to go ahead and we're going to have a larger, more inclusive, more to the point kind of a radio network where everyone can get a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a steady diet of Dano bashing the Democrats all the time. Although Dano can change that if he was, you know, given some incentive to be able to do that, which he does do from time to time. The Blue Jackets bowed out in games in late last, Tuesday night, I think it was, Monday night, Tuesday night, but the Blue Jackets have bowed out. So we now have, we'll get more into hockey a little bit later on one of Dano's other shows, but right now everything's changing. But the good news that I keep getting today, I'm sitting at work and I'm talking with people. And my phone keeps going off, and one of my guys is like, "What's that?" And I was like, "Oh, it's my brother Kaiser." And they said, "Tell us about your brother Kaiser." Well, these are normies. I don't tell anyone about my brother Kaiser because it doesn't work like that. It's none of their, you know, they're all too they're all too soft. Their hands are way too soft to understand what our world is about here, because they can't handle the truth, as Jack Nicholson said, and A Few Good Men. So, but yeah, that phone was going constant today, and I missed a little bit of something earlier. But you know what? This is getting ready to take off. CNN has turned on Comey. They have declared today that he is in more trouble than what he can get out of. Today, in case anybody missed it, the New York Stock Exchange suspended trading on the floor for the rest of the session on Wednesday in Amazon book holdings and Alphabet due to a price scale issue. So this is for anything efficient that this issue affected stocks with prices above $1,000. So, in short, yeah, I can't wait to see how artificially the price of their stock has been inflated. I think it's a lot more inflated than what it probably truly is in the grand scheme of things. I did see something today when I was cruising Facebook. It looks like, I think it was in Canada or some other place, Jeff Bezos of Amazon was booed by his workers when he spoke at a company gathering there. So when you really think about it and you really look at it, if you look at any of the job offerings that Amazon provides people, when you look at it, you're making right around $12, $13 an hour. Now, this is a multi-billion-dollar company. This is no little lazy Susan with a $5,000 spinning around on it. Nothing even close to that. This is a multi-billion-dollar company. It goes around the world. They and Facebook and YouTube have all come, and Google have all come under attack in the European Union, which is very devastating for them because chances are if it catches on there, it's going to catch on fire over here. So they have some real issues that are probably coming over the horizon. It would not in the least bit shock me to find out that there are congressional and Senate hearings post-midterm elections. Since I already know we're going to go ahead and maintain the majority in the Senate and the House, would not in the least bit surprise me to find out that we have RICO statute style hearings or monopoly type style hearings to have to do with this, because a long time ago it was Amazon that said, oh, Walmart's destroying everything, they're destroying Main Street. Well, Walmart's no longer the one destroying Main Street.
It's Amazon.
It is the Amazon that is destroying Main Street. Two other things real quick. One, EU. Macron went ahead, made his visit this week. They had a I have to stress this, guys, I never watch the press conferences on TV. It's like watching paint dry. Exactly. In the middle of winter. So those of you in the middle of winter know paint don't dry, right? So here we go. I'm sitting here and I'm watching this whole thing. And the only reason I even watched it, Kaiser and I were talking about this before the show started, was because Mr. Trump told one of the reporters that he had asked a stupid question. Stupid question. Don't quote me verbatim on that, but it's really pretty close. And I was captivated by it. So we waited for them to walk out to do their thing. And it was all pretty much hugs and kisses, and everybody's, going to go have a brew after the whole deal and everything. And then today, I did not get to see any of this because I was in Normie World today. I guess Mr. Macron stepped out and said some things about, the isolationism of the United States. Well, this is the difference between the French, even though the French is they're one of our longtime allies. The thing that we have to understand, we in France are nowhere close in ideology on any level. That includes financially. Honestly.
We are only in step with them under Obama. I don't like to say his name, and I won't say his name because he's a disgrace. And we were only in step with him because Soros and company were making sure that we were, because they got the big money. And the funny thing nobody wants to hear, and I'll bounce this back to you, brother.
All right.
The funny thing that I see is that these morons think that Trump can still be bought. Look, you're a billionaire. You're not going to be bought. You might be scared or influenced, but guess what? The PP Gate thing didn't work. It could have made Melania think maybe this really happened, but it didn't happen. It's all fantasy. It's all some sick, twisted fantasy that all these libtards wanted to buy into. And we had a couple comments. I want to first bounce into them so you can deal with them, and I can too. That I believe is, and this is, he's talking about the picture I put up on the Second Amendment. His name is Stephen Schmidt, and that I believe is indeed the essence of the Second Amendment. Not hunting like Fook had said. And he also said, I think I'll crack a beer with y'all. So thanks, Stephen, for those comments. And Dano, there you go, baby.
Oh, man. So very, very rich. So Odumia is what I like to call him.
Okay, cool.
Odumia, everyone's fine. Macron's like the last guy to try to say, hey, you know what? We were really in good with old Odumia over here. We made him rich and gave him money. And the sad part is Trump can buy them all. And it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And this is why we hired him. We didn't hire him to have feelings. We didn't hire him to care about other people's expectations,
feelings,
customs. No more feelings, because feelings are invalid when running a business. The business we're discussing about running, the United States of America, a constitutional republic. Anyone comes on here and tells me it's a democracy, you've lost your seat at the table.
Yep.
You're done. We're not a democracy. We are a constitutional republic. The problem is not all the players in the game understand the Constitution.
That's right.
They willingly ignore it. They willingly do things. Brennan today, I saw an article on Brennan. Brennan is he's probably as in much trouble, if not more trouble, than what Comey is, because Comey turned around, did a book tour, and confessed and said, hey, look at all these crimes. I went ahead and I commit it, and I'm going to put it in print so the prosecutors don't have to do discovery.
Oh,
the DNC, and then the DNC turns around. This is even better yet, and I didn't mean to step on you there. This is even better yet, though. The DNC went ahead and is to have filed suit against, I think it's WikiLeaks, Trump, and someone else, because, they influenced the elections. So here's what's going to happen. There's going to be a countersuit. We've already seen this in the news here. Mr. Trump's going to probably end up doing a countersuit. And what this is going to do, the countersuit's going to be for the servers that the DNC refused to provide to the FBI. But this is the sweetest part of the nut. Now they're going to turn around and they're going to be able to depose Hillary Clinton.
Yep.
Unintended consequences. This is not poisonous fruit. Nothing like it. This is all perfectly legal. So here they are. The party puts Hillary under the bus yet again. It isn't like they couldn't keep it together. I'm going to go ahead and bounce away from Hillary and the DNC and all the other garbage. The 2 a.m., the Second Amendment, one of the most after it's before the freedom of speech, because without the second, you don't have the First Amendment. I mean, that is the bottom line, kids. It is all there. So what I'm going to tell you is this. It appears as though Yeti coolers, which I haven't bought one, won't own one. I wouldn't even as much put water on one if it was on fire, decided that they were going to go ahead and discontinue their relationship with the NRA. Well, it turns out the NRA is pretty good gatekeepers of emails. Yeti has now found themselves with all kinds of egg on their face, and they're kind of going back and forth with the NRA. But it isn't going to do them any good, because RTIC coolers are probably going to step up and get the next nod with the NRA. I watched a video with a guy packed 22 pounds of tannerite into a Yeti cooler. It took him 2 cracks with an M4 to hit it, and it left a pretty good hole in the ground. Yeah. So that's really pretty amazing. But gun owners are heated.
Well,
they're really heated.
The best thing I ever saw, and I believe it was on Conservative and Gentleman's page, the best thought I saw is, instead of blowing it up and getting rid of it. Everybody who owns a Yeti cooler who's an NRA supporter, honestly, should sell them on eBay for less than you paid. You've already got your use out of it. Let's lower the price for Yeti. You know, people say, well, there's not that many out there. They're a $500 piece of equipment. Sell it for $400. Start undercutting them. $200. It doesn't matter. Look,
undercut it and sell it for $50.
Yeah.
Do you realize what kind of an undertow? And some people may have not thought about it like this, because my first thought was blow it up. Well, I looked in the garage and I wasn't dumb enough to buy this stuff to begin with. So I got an attaboy from Mrs. Dano for that. But when you go ahead and when you undercut the price so low by selling it for anywhere between, I'd say, $5 and $50,
yeah,
this is what happens. People are going to be like, well, I'm sorry, Jane, why am I going to turn around and pay $400 for this Yeti when I'm able to go ahead and go on eBay or Juberg Marketplace and I can get it between $5 to $50? Oh, like Dickless Sporting Goods. You know what? These guys are just falling all over their units, all over the place, being stupid. By the way, Dick's Sporting Goods, you shouldn't be allowed to write off those long guns that you're destroying and any other weapons because you're willingly do it. It's not as a result of a bad business deal. This is a result of you trying to be smarter than everyone else, thinking that you're going to go ahead and tell everyone else how to live their life, what they can, what they can't buy.
It's nothing more than social signaling. They are social signaling because of the pressure from those kids that, first off, they can't vote, and they're trying to dictate what the Second Amendment is. I think the Second Amendment is pretty strong, and these morons that want to go and say, oh, well, we got to listen to the kids, they have a voice. Yeah, they have a voice. I had a voice. Guess what? When I was young like they were, I was a devout Marxist. So I think to myself, did my voice deserve to be heard? Maybe, to the limited people I had, but not on a national level. But see, the media is in compliance with everything these people are doing, and you got to look at the money, where the money moves. Soros. Right. You got to look at MSM, all mainstream media, and I'm including Fox. I'm an equal opportunity hater. I will hate anybody, especially CNN right now, has a suit to try to tell Google, and because they own YouTube, you cannot have voices of any person. That's why the Castle Talk Radio Network was founded. We're going to get the voices out there, and we're going to have them all disjointed. We're doing this in a cell system, and the cell system always has worked, and it's just going to be us talking about the truth. And
yeah, they're sugarcoating it here, and this is what I'm also going to tell you. This is going to be coast to coast.
Yep.
This isn't just going to be flyover country. This isn't just going to be East Coast. This isn't just going to be West Coast. I know of two people that I want to possibly bring into the fold who aren't afraid to tell the truth. There's going to be one gentleman that I can think of, if I can even get him on one show a week, that was subjected to the Podesta brothers saying we have to make an example out of someone. Recently had a pardon. I'm going to drop that kind of hint out there. It doesn't take a whole lot to find a Navy man who's been recently pardoned. I may or may not be able to get him on here, and I may even be able to get his attorney to pop on here. But this is what I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen. This is real. This isn't a drill. This isn't you going out to the range and dropping a few down range. It's just not it. It's not a practice. You're not out on the putting green. This is real. We're going to make our voices heard. We've had enough of it. We're going to go ahead. We're going to isolate and put ourselves in a situation where Juberg can't affect us. where YouTube can affect us, we're going to go ahead and make sure that they're in a position, because I'm going to tell you what, the more cases of which we see Juberg and Facebook screwing with conservative media outlets, it only backs up what the Congress and the Senate asked Zuckerberg when he was in Washington. Now, remember this. We remember all these politicians that ask all these questions, right?
Right.
All those politicians that ask all those questions received over $625,000 from Mr. Juberg.
Yeah, they did.
Oh, wait a minute. So we got softballs, huh? We got softballs. He can hit softballs out. Although I don't believe that Chuck Grassley exactly gave him softballs, and there were a couple other people who actually gave him some sticker bushes that I don't think that he counted on being in Briars that day.
No, he didn't.
So
with his, the funniest part is he had to, just like an infant or a young child, he had to have a little booster seat. You know, that little seat that, you know, would make him a little more comfy and higher. You know, it's nothing more than Comey, the 6'8" I didn't know, honestly, that we stack shit that high in human beings, but that he's gonna pay too. I mean, this is so funny to me because it's all breaking out now, Dano, and you know this. So you go on, man.
All right. So some of the other things that we've got going on. Who cares about Megyn Kelly?
Yeah.
No.
She's
don't all raise your hands at the same time. Don't all raise your hands at the same time. I already know better. Kelly's in the Death Spiral. Megyn Kelly's in the Death Spiral on NBC. Let me see what else we got going on here, guys. I literally have been on the go since I walked in the house tonight at 6:30 p.m.
Yep.
I was lucky to get away to be able to go ahead and do this. See here. I have been seeing numerous articles where the DNC is now asking that we do not discuss impeachment. Impeachment is off the table. We can't get away with doing it. Why? Because the truth came out.
Yeah.
We can't have the truth come out because, well, you know, it's okay. Well, I mean, gosh, the truth? How freaking foreign.
You know
well,
what?
It is.
I don't know if I want the truth, man. Should I just instead of taking the red pill, I should take the blue pill, right? And go back to sleepy sleep and just let everybody run me?
Get up. If I'm up, you're up. Don't even talk that shit. I don't want to hear that. I got to get up. You got to get up. You know how this all rolls.
I do. I'm being facetious, bro.
I am here to tell you. I know you are, and that's what I like. Macron believes that the U.S. is going to go ahead and pull out of the nuclear deal. So let me go ahead and fill in some blanks here with this. So Mr. Trump said it was a bad deal. Very true. It is a bad deal, and it sucks. The only people that won anything out of that was Iran. Why did Iran win? They got all that money stacked in pallets and barrels. Absolutely. Why in the hell did we give them a red cent? Because now all this stuff is starting to pile up in Syria, Lebanon. You know, they're over there trying to put some stuff together to, you know, screw with our friends in Israel. And I'm going to be really clear about something. Although I am a child of the covenant and my descendancy can go ahead and be traced back to one of the original 7 tribes, this is what I can tell you. I'm not always happy with everything that Israel does.
Nobody is.
But Netanyahu, Benjamin Netanyahu, is in trouble.
Yep.
He's in real trouble. And I believe he's being blackmailed because he's starting to do things that he didn't do before.
Right. Here's the thing that I'll say on that, on the Israel question. They have a right to exist. And the reason why I'll say this is very clear. They are a nation state. They protect their borders with walls. But nobody else can. That's the problem I have with them. And I also have a problem with we fight their wars for them. And I have in the past. I have that issue. these are just things that I have, and it's not like I'm saying, you know, I don't want to get into this question this deeply on this channel, because this is my life pod for my son to understand my thoughts. But my problem is, you are coming from the physical manifestation of the real war room that was started way before anything AJ started. When he started his war room, there was, those that are Sloke will understand where Kaiser started. And the whole thing that gets me on this thing is that everybody wants to give clean hands to Israel, but the thing is, you can't take it away, and you're a Navy guy, brother, and I love you, and you know this, but you know the truth of the liberty. You know about jelly on 9/11.
Right.
You know many different things, and so nobody has clean hands, including the deep state. And my favorite part about this is Trump has done one thing. He's pulled back that tent cover, that tent opening, and he is showing every American what the deep state looks like. Not what they think it looks like, but what the reality is. Because if you listen to the deep state, you're going to be like, wow, man, they are pure as the wind-driven snow. The Democrats and Republicans love Mueller. They love Comey. They love these people, and all of a sudden he's pulling back that little thing. And I saw it when I was there. On the inside of that tent, before it was pulled away. And I saw them for what they were. They were nothing more than grabastic pieces of shit. And anyways, I'll let you go, Dano. You say what you want, brother.
No one is clean. No one is perfect. No one country is any better than any other. You're merely supposed to be out there to defend what's yours.
Well,
and that's all there is to it. So everyone, you know, and I'm not going to say why can't everybody just get along, because you know what? It isn't going to happen. It's the history of the world. It's the way that it's always rock and rolled along the way.
Yeah.
So you don't change that. You aren't going to change it anytime soon.
Right.
So that's just the way that it rolls. But the most important thing to go ahead to do is keep your eye to the sky to watch and see what's going on. Because I'm telling you that more and more criminal referrals are being made.
Yep.
IG Horowitz is going, I do believe that if anyone fires Rosenstein, it will not be Mr. Trump. I do believe that Mr. Trump has someone within the Bureau that works within the area of professional standards. And I think what you're going to find out is they're going to do the same thing to Rosenstein. Is that his name? Rosenstein?
Yeah, whatever. It's a Stein.
He's going to be. Yeah. And you know what the sad part is? I don't have my Mr. McMahon sound bit queued up here, but he's going to tell him, "You're fired." And that's exactly what's going to happen. They're going to end up doing the same thing that they did to McCabe, to him, that they did to McCabe. They're going to fire him. They're not going to give him a chance to rest on that cushy $2, $3, $5 million government retirement that they've got all set up and ready to use.
Yep.
They're going to end up being fired. There's someone in that bureau or a group of people working between the IG and the FBI.
Well, that's Page and Strzok. I mean, honestly, the undoing of this entire thing are their tweets, because, you know, they were paramours together, you know, cheating on their significant others.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a reason. I said this in one of my last podcasts. It was a few back. You guys will have to deep dive into it. But the thing is to hold a TS, a top secret, or even a secret clearance, if you all of a sudden if you're a guy, you're dipping your willy into somebody, or you're a man or woman, it matters not. And
right.
if if you're a female and you're letting everybody go, make you, you know,
If
what
you're
we
gonna
used
be,
to,
you're
what,
gonna be a doorknob.
yeah, exactly. If you're riding the cat carousel,
Right.
the whole thing is then your clearance means nothing because you can be blackmailed, and that's the whole thing that Ababala knew. Honestly, is make it normalized, make the military your test bed, and once you normalize that behavior, they don't realize the degeneracy that happens. There were several people that tried to talk about this in the past, and the problem is they were as clear as anybody. Common Filth was one of them. I don't even think you can find his stuff anymore. I think he pulled it all down. But he used to talk about this stuff. And do we want to become a society where Common Filth, not the person, I'm talking about when you think about what that meaning is normalized? Do you want pedophilia normalized? They were trying to push this under Obama. They were trying to push this with the Catholic Church, and still the Catholic Church is pushing this. And honestly, if you're a Catholic and you actually believe in something, you probably should start looking at the Orthodox Church. And even if you're a Baptist and other religions, you might want to look at the Orthodoxy. It matters not, because the Orthodoxy at least holds the nation state sacred. That's all I have to say.
There you go. Well, this is, and I know we all keep saying, well, when are we going to see the arrest? When are we going to see the arrest? The 2018 midterms are this is all going to be very, very interesting, because herein lies the rest of it. You know, we talked about Yeti, the NRA, and the Second Amendment.
Yep.
Nancy Pelosi has now come out and said, well, now we're going to take away your tax cuts. Now, I don't know about everyone, but you know what? I'll take back my money. I have no problem with this whatsoever, without reservation. I can do a lot with that money. Trust and believe. Some people don't believe that, and that's why when they originally went ahead and started talking smack about, well, all they're getting is X amount of dollars, and then they turn around and they say, well, as part of our midterm, 2018 elections, we're going to run on taking back that money that Trump gave you because, well, that's not yours. That's ours.
That's a losing proposition. I'll never forget. Look, we're both working class dudes. And I'll never forget, I was getting like X amount of dollars for what I was doing, welding for people, until, I got this contract. The most hilarious thing to me was my boss, my direct boss, gave me my, check stub. And when he gave it to me, he goes, there'll be more money there. And Nancy Pelosi, here's what they don't see. This is why the Democrats have nothing to run on, nothing to even be proud of, because they're morons. The most hilarious part to me was my boss comes up and goes, this is for thank you, and I will have Georgios on my stream in a few days to explain it more in depth, because he's a financial guy. But my boss brings this up to me and says, you can thank President Trump for this. And yeah, the drib drabs was $50 on my paycheck. That's drib drabs to her, because of course how much does she make every, just her paycheck, 200 and something, whatever $1,000 she's making. And it's drib drabs to her, it's what she leaks out, her little useless reproductive organ. And and then all of a sudden we're supposed to be like, oh, that is so wrong that he gave me $50. $50 is another shirt. It's another pair of pants. You know, if you're a welder. He's dealing with the working class, and the Democrats, well, they used to represent the working class. They don't anymore because we're the wrong color. We're the wrong people. We are the wrong type of person for that new Democrat Party that's full of nothing but people that, you know, if I was a transgender female and I decided I needed to use the female bathroom, even if I still have my cack attached, I should be able to do that, even though I might be a pervy. You know, it's crazy what they're trying to justify.
Right.
And guess what? That happened under Obama. And that's all I'm saying. They're eating their own. I don't care.
Oh no, it's absolutely awesome because, you know, we're watching while we're watching the DNC do this stuff, we have people like John Kasich.
Yep.
Who is getting ready to fall on his sword.
Oh.
And I do believe that he's going to end up joining Michael Bloomberg. This is my prediction, my uneducated prediction, might I add. He went ahead, produced an executive order this week that demanded that the state higher beings go ahead and begin to check with all 88 local courts systems to make sure that they're reporting everything that's supposed to be reported, to be able to go ahead and keep the hands out of people's hands who have been convicted of crimes that do not allow them to be lawfully in possession of those weapons.
Yep.
Hey, Jarek, we've already got those laws on the book. We didn't need an executive order. The executive order is on the part of Kasich is nothing more than a, hey, look at me. I'm still governor, remember?
Yeah.
And people are and people, they're looking at him and they're like, yeah, dumbass, we know that you're still the governor. We're trying to forget and trying to get you out of our line of sight. We don't want to see you.
The most hilarious part about that whole meme that he tried to produce, I saw a meme earlier where he's like, I don't know if all 88 counties are reporting these people who have had spousal abuses or this, that, and the other. Guess what? That's been in law since the 90s when Clinton made, and I saw this in the military because I went into the National Guard when I left, what do you call it, the Marine Corps. And the funniest part to me was the Lautenberg Amendment, and that's what he's talking about, is if you have spousal abuse or you have any kind of domestic abuse. It could be you with a roommate, right?
Right.
And all of a sudden you smack your roommate because your roommate's whatever. You had a disagreement.
Right.
Well, guess what? You can no longer have a gun. And they're doing it to the veterans right now. Here's the thing that's so sick to me, is they're doing it to the veterans right now, and yet the governments, the local governments, Ohio's trying to jump right into it. The governments right now are trying to tell people, oh, smoke that marijuana. Well, guess what? On your form, when you buy that gun, are you addicted to marijuana? No or yes. Well, that pretty much gives a lot of leeway to the ATF, the most corrupt agency in any federal service is the ATF. And they can decide, oh, well, you have medical marijuana for PTSD, so you have a mental problem. Not only that do you have, and that's why I tell vets, don't go to psychiatrists. Deal with your brothers. Have them help you through the tough times. And the other thing I tell them, don't get on the marijuana train. You know, I don't smoke marijuana. I don't care to. I tried it at 14. It put me to sleep. It was nothing to me. But what I will tell you is if you get on this medical marijuana shit, what you will get is a deprivation of your Second Amendment rights. And the Second Amendment right is the only reason you have a First Amendment right. Trust me. If I'm only going to go back to Korea. The men that I knew from Korea, not the World War II vets, and I knew a lot of them back when I was a young dude. You and I are both old. Let's be fair with these people so they know we're old enough to know World War II vets. But what I will say, and it's very correct, if they would have tried this shit back then with the Korean, Vietnam, and World War II vets back in the 70s,
insurrection. There would have been an insurrection.
It would have been
beyond all thought and belief.
It would have been civil war, and the government would have lost.
I know a gentleman a black gentleman who was in the special forces. He said that when things got ugly, people started saying, you know what, I'm out of here, I'm done, I'm not dealing with this.
Yeah.
They told him when they did the out process at MEPS, they told him very plainly, they said, you need to understand one thing. We will keep tabs on you, and if you begin to cause any trouble whatsoever, we find out that you're out here causing riots, you're out here committing acts of terrorism, we will come take you out.
Well, you're very true. Right now, Stephen Schmidt, he's been very prolific on this page. He said the ideals of the young influenced by teachers and professors. And then the other thing he said was paper trail, and he's exactly right on both of them. It's about the paper trail. If they can put that out there and identify you as whatever they want. Look, this is coming from a former Fed. Nobody doesn't, no matter who I ran with, nobody heard me lie about myself being a former Fed. I'm trying to rehabilitate myself because I know the crimes that these agencies have done, and they've done it since the 60s. And with the ATF, we can go all the way back to the 20s, the Roaring 20s, when you know, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. You know, this is systemic. And then they were a part of Treasury because they collect taxes. That's what their thing is. They were the revenuers. Nobody in America wants to hear they were the revenuers that everybody thought were morons back in the day. Now there's some sort of, the only thing the BATFE has that I respect are their bomb guys, their explosive guys. And you know why that is? Because they have some of the best in the business. If there's a problem with an explosive from a jihadi, I would love to have a BATFE guy come in, but they actually should disband the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. Just let the explosive guys be in. And I saw this when I went to my first school with FLETC, Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. I saw what these guys were pushing for. It's just like the Highway Patrol in Ohio. They want to be police. They want to be police. They have to be police. Guess what? They're still state troopers. They have authority on the highways and byways of Ohio and state buildings. And even that state building thing, and it may have changed now, so let me be very clear, but in the 80s, I lived very close to an armory until I deployed, and I was a military policeman. First time they got me on it, because I was like, you know, showed up, the alarm went off, I got the call, went in, and these guys pushed me around. State Highway Patrol. This is an example I'm giving so people understand. And it was a false alarm. I knew it was once we got in there, and I had to use my key. And I saw the gun safe was locked, And then I was told, well, you can't let these highway patrolmen push you around. And so the next time I went in, Highway Patrol, City of Columbus, everybody, and this is on Sullivan Avenue at Hallbrook Armory. Okay. And I looked at him and I'm like, no, guess what? I have control of this. You may be a state trooper, but I'm a military policeman with the Ohio Army National Guard. I got the call. I know how to tell everybody it's a false alarm if it happens. You guys can follow me in. They drew down on me when I drove up. It was hilarious. And I showed my ID, creds, and all of a sudden, oh, okay, you're one of us. And when they started to come through with me, I'm like, no, you don't come through with me. I will check this building out. You stay out here. And it was because of one of my mentors from the Highway Patrol, or from the National Guard, that told me how to talk to the Highway Patrol.
Right.
And that's the thing. Institutional memory is real.
No doubt.
And it's got to be passed down.
Well, it has to. You have to be able to know who is and who isn't. And we see a lot of actions by the State Highway Patrol in other, how shall I put this without giving away the farm, in certain emergency situations. The Ohio State Highway Patrol has been stepping out of bounds for years.
Oh, yeah. They want to be police.
For years. They want to be in control. Oh, you have too many of this, too many of that. If your people don't move this and your people don't move that, we're going to go ahead and not only ticket, but we're going to arrest the driver.
Yeah.
And they absolutely are under a hell of... They are in a euphoria of grandeur that is beyond anything that any of us could ever believe.
They're just admin dudes. Look, I've seen them come through my small town, and you know my small town.
Right.
And they'll go off the state routes and pull people over on regular roads.
Right.
That's not their jurisdiction.
We're over here by Don Scott Field, and I see them pull people over all the time on the little side streets and stuff. Yeah. I'm not going to say where, because I've looked at a couple of them and told them, said, you don't belong over here. And they always like to,
give
let me
nod.
Yeah, they give that. Yeah, sure. I don't know who you think you are. I'm the State Highway Patrol, and I just look at them and tell them, yeah, and you work for the taxpayer. You need to go back chasing your, your white line of donut dust, and leave me alone. Of course, that never endures you to them at all. They don't like none of that.
Well, Stephen Smith just wrote this, and it's so very correct. County sheriffs don't seem to realize the power that they yet wield. Okay, and it's true. We have 88 counties. Every sheriff, look, this is back in the 80s, and you're talking, right. This is not you. This is for Steven. I saw what you typed and everything, so I'm tracking with you. I'm trying to look at this stuff so I can actually have a conversation with people who are pushing stuff in. And he's not been wrong yet. Mm-hmm. Here's the problem. The 88 county sheriffs in the 80s, there were several sheriffs that would say, and it was stupid of them at the time, they would say, we will handle traffic accidents in our county, and that means the sheriff can say for the Highway Patrol, you're going to direct traffic. That's stupid. The Highway Patrol can clear traffic all day long very quickly. Mm-hmm. The problem that's going on is not that. The problem that's going on is the sheriffs have not pushed back And a lot of this in our state, Ohio, and I'm being very clear on this, the problem is the governor listens to the colonel in our state of the Highway Patrol, and they want to be police, but if a highway patrolman graduates Highway Patrol Academy, they still have, what, another 40 hours of work to do to become able to work as a sheriff's deputy? They're not qualified to be a police officer.
Well, I don't know how much extra, I don't know how much extra training, I should say schooling. Boy, that sounded educated. I don't know how much additional training that they have to be able to go ahead and have to do anything after they graduate from the academy. On any given day, you can always go down by 17th Ave off of 71 there by the fairgrounds. And there are a lot, and I mean many smaller police departments that are pushing their people through the State Highway Patrol Academy over there.
Yeah, but they also have to go through another academy to get the rest of it, or they bring in people to make them police officers.
Right.
And that is honest. I mean, Opata is right down the road. I live in London. I'm not going to lie. Opata, that is where everybody used to go to train. It was right here in London for the whole state of Ohio because we're really central. And the problem is Highway Patrol, guess what? Their basic training doesn't make them police. And they just have authority. It's limits of jurisdiction, and it's also limits of authority. That's a fact. And nobody can doubt this. The sheriff of any county in Ohio and their deputies can roll in all 88 counties. If they find corruption or something like that, they can go there. The coroner is the only person that can remove a sheriff, and a sheriff is the ultimate authority in the county otherwise than a coroner in Ohio. That's a fact. It's not the Highway Patrol. You know, BCI, everybody I know that has worked through BCI, no matter where they are, there are several places, Bureau of Criminal Investigations for the state of Ohio is, their warrants that they have is through the sheriff's office. They're not from the Ohio Highway Patrol.
Right.
You know,
well, they have to go through the local clerk of courts to file those warrants to make them good.
No, I mean, I didn't mean warrant. Sorry to make that mistake. I meant their commissions come from the sheriff's office.
Okay.
They don't,
all right.
They don't come from the state because the state can only issue anything. They'll give them a state badge. It sort of looks like a marshal's badge, but their actual commission comes from that county sheriff, wherever. Yeah. So.
Cool. All right. So Dano is now turned into a pumpkin.
Okay. Well, are you about to go out? Because I have a treat for the people.
Oh, wait a minute. And I'm going to tell you what. I know what your treat is. You guys are going to love. I stress the word love. You are so going to be thankful that you have this little treat, because this treat is well worth the waiting.
Well,
again,
I'm gonna have to give me 1 second. You keep talking, but I'm gonna have to mute myself for a few minutes. All right, keep talking.
No
brother.
problem. We're going to see a lot of different things come through. So we are not your local, my goodness, libertarian radio show. That's not us. We're not your typical conservative radio show. That's not us. We mix things together. We mix a lot of things together. And like as I was doing with News Talk, you know, I did not always see things the way that, you know, that Dirk saw things. And that's part of the chemistry that makes everything go into work. And when we're able to have those things and we can have the respectful discussion that we're missing in our society today, we can go ahead and have these talks, bring out these points one by one. It is when everyone becomes educated and they're able to see the truth. But the problem is there's a lot wrong in Europe. There's a whole lot wrong with in Europe. And Europe is in real serious trouble. And I'm not talking about the kinds of trouble where they just get a parking ticket. We're talking a real governmental issue top to bottom that is being fought from within. I think one of the countries is Hungary, if I remember right.
Yep.
Hungary has told the EU to stick it. France is barely hanging on. I don't know if I'm not sure if I was discussing it with you. I think it may have been you and I. We were talking about it. I see Macron joining and creating a limited coalition, governmental coalition with Le Pen. For as much garbage as what they talked about Le Pen and they tried to throw her in prison and everything, right. It isn't going to work. They aren't going to be able to always link her to her father, even though, you know, not everything that her father did was really on the up and up. But what I can tell you is this. You are going to see some coalition governments because much as we see here in the United States where the strength of our conservative values come from the rural flyover portions of the country, that is where a lot of the conservatives in France, they come from the very same place. So I'm sure that if you were to look at the rural areas across the world, and if you wanted to look for the conservatives that weren't on board with the socialist line of thinking and their actions, you're going to probably find a lot of them are in rural areas. Now, I know you're going to ask, why, Dano? Why are they going to be? Because that's where the people that work.
Right. And
they don't handouts.
And we're going to play this from my brothers. They're going to introduce themselves to them. I happen to have run across these guys. It's FTN, Fascination. It also is, they'll introduce themselves to you, and they're going to bring the truth to you on Europe at this time. Dano knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, absolutely.
And, I've got it all reeved up, ready to go. Boomer Tech, high speed. Here we go.
Go. Alrighty, Dano out.
We'll be right back here on Fascination.
For J.O. De La Rey, this is Trent Holmgren with the Europa Report for the week ending April 20th, 2018, covering the ongoing non-white invasion of the European continent. We start this week in England with a touch of sanity. Rotherham Council has been ordered to apologize to a whistleblower who helped expose the mass exploitation of underage white girls by mostly Muslim men. Jane Sr., who has worked with grooming victims since 1999 and was made a member of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire in 2016 for services to child protection, helped to blow the lid off the long-running grooming gang scandal in the town. She revealed how council officials, social services, and police, paralyzed by fears of racism accusations, failed to act while at least 1,400 girls were abused. But in just months after she received her reward and published her memoirs, Broken and Betrayed, the council orchestrated a raid on the charity she runs, Swinton Lock, as part of an investigation which has now been slammed by the local government ombudsman. The ombudsman has ordered Rotherham Council to apologize to Senior for continuously misleading her about the investigation's progress and keeping her in the dark about its details. I'm appalled it's taken so long. It's crazy how ill-informed Senior has been throughout the entire process, commented Sarah Champion, the Member of Parliament for Rotherham. The left-wing MP was herself forced to resign from Labour's shadow government after admitting that Britain has a problem with Pakistani men raping and exploiting white girls, which the authorities are afraid to confront. In the 5 years I have been an MP, I have never come across something like this affecting a constituent, let alone a councillor and a well-known whistleblower, she added. You would think that the council would be trying to do everything in a timely manner. In fact, the opposite has happened. One of those who's helped bring the Rotherham child exploitation scandal to light. I continue to support children and families who were systematically failed by those whose statutory duty was to protect them, and I will continue to work with the authorities to ensure justice is served, Senior said in a statement. I welcome the Ombudsman's decision, but I am disappointed that I have to endure many months of unnecessary stress. Matters are now in the hands of our lawyers, and consequently, I cannot make any further comment. Now maybe we can get an apology for the actual victims. And now, business as usual in Sadiq Khan's London. London's crime wave will develop into carnage come summer, a leading trauma surgeon has predicted, warning ultraviolence in the capital is now the new normal. Dr. Martin Griffiths, a consultant surgeon at Barts Health NHS Trust, said soaring knife and gun crime has resulted in London looking more like South Africa or inner-city US with regards to the rate of attacks. If it was hot weather right now, it would be carnage. When it gets a few degrees warmer, it's going to be taxing. It's going to be difficult, he told The Times. The doctor, who earlier this month revealed some of his military colleagues have likened the situation seen in London trauma wards to hospitals in the Middle East war zones, said that treating young teenagers with life-threatening injuries has become the bread and butter of his work at the Royal London Hospital. Every day, an ambulance rolls up with a kid who has been stabbed. That can't be right. We're not at war, said Griffiths, who has treated victims of gun and knife crime as young as 9. You're sitting there in a resuscitation bay at 7:30 p.m. on a Thursday evening. It's not even dark, but you've got 4 children in your bays and you're thinking to yourself, this is not what I trained for, he said. I'm a trauma surgeon, not a pediatric surgeon. We're having to use the skill set that we have to look after adult trauma injuries for kids. That was never part of the deal, but we look after children now. That's what we do. Welcome to the new normal. Moving on to Germany, where we see motive. It now turned out that Andrea Horitsky, a local politician of Merkel's CDU party, is one of the hotel owners that has a long-term contract with the city to host refugees, but that's not the whole story. Compared with other hotels in Cologne, Horitsky's 7-year contract is the longest of all. The deal was also made at the time when the number of refugees has already decreased significantly. According to Germany's Bild, 26 refugees currently lived in the hotel and a compensation of €35 per person daily. But there will be more beds available soon as Horitsky has plans to renovate the hotel and expand its capacity with 5 extra beds. As the contract is non-terminable, the CDU politician could earn up to €2.4 million, Bild reports. The city administration does not want to confirm whether the CDU politician herself was involved in the negotiations about the €2 million deal. Horitsky tells the Express, the hotel is my profession and therefore my private business. The other is my volunteer involvement in the CDU. I want to do something for the people of Cologne. Mrs. Horitsky, if you want to do something for the people of Cologne, bulldoze your hotel. And moving over into Austria from Germany, almost literally, Germany's Women's March Against Migrant Violence spreads to Austria. On Saturday afternoon, numerous women gathered in Austria's capital to protest against the rapidly increasing migrant violence in the country. News outlet Wochenblick reports. According to the organizer, Patriots for Home and Tradition, about 250 people took part in the first protest against migrant violence in Vienna. During the march, Antifa extremists tried to attack the peaceful women on the streets of Vienna. Thanks to the police interventions, their plan did not succeed. Later, Antifa members were throwing eggs at women who were holding a speech. In several speeches at Vienna's Ballhausplatz, clear criticism was focused on the noticeable increase in migrant violence against the weakest in society. I want our children to live as safe as once we were able to, said one Viennese woman. After introductory speeches at Vienna's Ballhausplatz, the protesters marched peacefully towards the German embassy. Participants wanted to express their solidarity with further German protests against migrant violence. German and Austrian solidarity. We like where this is going. And let's continue on that theme for a moment. France. Macron thinks we might get this party started. The European Union risks being torn apart by a civil war between its liberal and authoritarian democracies, Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, has warned. Speaking in the European Parliament in Strasbourg, Mr. Macron said that the EU must build a new European sovereignty and embark on much-needed reforms to save the bloc. The ardent Europhile was given a standing ovation and numerous compliments by adoring MEPs during the plenary debate on the future of Europe after Brexit. We have a context of division and indeed doubt within Europe, Mr. Macron said. There seems to be sort of a European civil war where selfish interests sometimes appear more important than what unites Europe. In a thinly veiled swipe at Hungary and Poland, Mr. Macron said Europe was in the grips of a fascination with the illiberal. Brussels is at a loggerheads with Warsaw over Poland's controversial judicial reforms, and there are also concerns about the rule of law in Hungary after strongman Viktor Orban's election campaign, which was won by stoking fears over immigration. We are seeing authoritarianism all around us, Mr. Macron said. The response is not authoritarian democracy, but an authority of democracy. In these difficult times, European democracy is our best chance, he added, before warning against the deadly tendency of national selfishness and egotism that could lead the continent into the abyss. What is happening in Hungary and Eastern Europe that has Macron so worried? Wins. Solid, relevant wins. In a major victory for the Hungarian government and the Hungarian people who overwhelmingly re-elected it in the recent elections, the Open Society Foundations has said it will leave Budapest after a sustained campaign against the globalist influence of George Soros. OSF chairman Patrick Gaspard personally traveled to Hungary's capital to inform around 100 members of the staff there that the international grant-making network founded by Soros will be moving its Eastern European operations to Berlin, Austria's Die Presse reports on Thursday. After closing its Budapest office in August, the organization will operate temporarily in Vienna before moving to a site in the German capital, according to the liberal news portal 444.hu. Earlier this month, Prime Minister Viktor Orban's conservative Fidesz party swept to victory in elections, winning a huge two-thirds majority in seats of the Hungarian parliament after a campaign vowing to protect citizens from Soros' plan to turn the country into a multicultural nation of immigrants. But it's not over. Soros doesn't give up that easy. What did Macron say about the importance of democracy? George Soros is not prepared to accept the Hungarian election outcome, the government has said, accusing the globalist billionaire of working behind the scenes to punish voters for electing conservatives. Fidesz spokesman Zoltán Kovács said recent moves have made it crystal clear that Soros remains committed to turning Hungary into an immigration country in the face of the landslide victory for the Patriotic Party earlier this month at the polls. In the recent days, George Soros' son has urged people in Hungary to hold protests against democracy and against the results of the democratic elections, reported a government newsletter which went on to highlight Monday's talks between the Hungarian-born investment banker and a senior EU commissioner in Brussels. Based on this, Kovács declared it to be absolutely obvious that Soros and Open Society Foundations-linked NGOs are determined to break the government's opposition to EU's attempts to distribute third-world migrants across the whole bloc. Noting voters gave it a clear mandate to fight mass migration at the election in which Fidesz secured a two-thirds majority in the Hungarian parliament, Kovács reaffirmed the government's pledge to resist Brussels' migrant quota using all possible means. The remarks by Hungary's Secretary of State for Public Diplomacy echoed comments made by the nation's foreign minister on Wednesday when he slammed Soros' post-election meddling. Soros is holding talks in Brussels with Vice President of the European Commission's Frans Timmermans, he said, referring to a meeting at which the pair discussed building unity between EU nations, according to a spokesman. Both are radically pro-immigration and are both committed to enemies of the Hungarian government and Hungarian migration policy. And that is all for this week. It was a big week in the European news, and the Europa Report expects things to heat up significantly over the summer. This week, the Europa Report sourced stories from voiceofeurope.com, Breitbart London, and Yahoo News.
Now, what you just heard was truth. And Dano, are you still on? He's probably not. What I'll say is you've just heard the truth from Kaisers Kastle. And nobody wants to listen to this. What I'll tell you before I close this out, and I'm about to close it out, there are a lot of things I tell people. I say, look to the extreme left, look to the extreme right. The truth will live in between. That's what the media doesn't do anymore. They don't look to people that will go out there in the field. I do it. I'm going to do it again. Anybody I bring on this show doesn't mean that they agree with me at all. At all. So you can't paint them. You can paint me. But at least I'm an honest broker in this. And that's what keeps my sanity. In this world of the insane. Because that's what we become. It's an upside down world. And honestly, yep, Stefan, that's right. We don't need NAFTA at all. Macron is here. It seems that he's moving closer. This is funny. I never thought I would say this with that cuck, and I believe he's a cuck. But I never thought until I saw everything that happened at the White House, and I can be changed. He seems to be stiffening his spine. And if it wasn't, and I'm not an advocate, I said that on the last thing with Alan. He has the other castle, and there's other castles in the build. He at least seems to be stiffening his spine against Angela Merkel. And everybody globally needs to push the Germans to Austria's already done it. So we need to start telling the Germans, wake up, you're the problem right now. If France holds true, I mean, we have to keep their feet to the fire too. There's some issues going on, and even with Trump, keep his feet to the fire. Look, I'm an equal opportunity hater on politicians, and I don't care who they are. And I had respect for Angela Merkel. I've had respect for many people, and they failed. Merkel, I understand a little deeper than most. I'm sure she understands why I do. So do people on her detail. It's just a respect thing. You've never heard me shout out why I had problems with certain people that are mayors. I'm just not going to air their dirty laundry. I don't need to. They're doing it themselves. And I can if they threaten me and mine. Oh, trust me, I can. Every one of them. I don't... Look, like I said, I'm an equal opportunity hater. And don't think I don't keep the dirt. I have the dirt. There's nobody I bodyguarded that I don't know everything about. So, with that being said, what I'll say is I'm about to go out of this thing, and I really hate doing it, but I have to tell y'all, I truly love y'all. Thanks for sitting on my orange couch. It's kind of what we do. Chef out. Alright. God bless. Bye.